Okay, great. So it was working, but um, just want to check that before I rambled on to just, myself. So I wanted to, it's been a goal of mine. I've always loved reading and writing, to write my story in book form and publish it. But while I'm in the process of um, working on that, as it's been like an off and on thing over the years, as it's a lot of, it brings up a lot of trauma to process what I went through because I had a very intense and severe sudden onset of autoimmune encephalitis that took us so many years to get the right diagnosis, that we went to so many doctors and so many misdiagnoses, and until we got the diagnosis of AE, um, I would flare and then be fine for a while and then flare even worse. And um, it was just such a God thing. I had done a test for something totally different, and they happened to consult on this lab panel that wasn't even for AE or PANS. But when they were talking to my doctor and hearing my symptoms and my story, they're like, "Have you ever heard of PANS pandas? This really sounds similar to what your patient is dealing with." And my doctor's like, "Wait, I think," like, she looked it up on Google and read the symptoms, and like, oh my gosh, she emailed my mom and we were walking at the time, actually, same dog. And she's like, "I think I know what Kira has." And um we Googled it, and it was so many of the same symptoms. This had been, I think, about 3 years into the process of trying to figure it out at that time. And um my doctor, I think, later said she had like been heard of it before on like a short slide in a presentation, but she had heard of it in relation to little kids because oftentimes people thought it was a pediatric thing. That was the P and PANS, but it can actually happen to people of all ages. I've even heard of people in their like 50s and 60s that it has happened to, and I was 17 when it happened to me. But it also does frequently happen to younger kids too. Um, and so that led us on a long journey of trying to find the right doctor, and that got us eventually to Dr. Scott Antoine um, in Carmel, Indiana, at his practice, Fully Functional Health. And I mean, I'd say this isn't an ad for him, but this is a total shout out because I would recommend anyone to him. He saved my life. And he had a daughter that went through something similar. And I was in a flare. My doctor reached out on a. Okay, I'm not a crier, but this is. It was a really emotional time, and it was just a godsend because we had gotten the diagnosis earlier in the year and tried to find a doctor in our area who knew what AE was. The person we went to just wasn't a good fit, and the treatment was not what we were wanting to do. After doing some research, and my doctor in town reached out on a Facebook group and um, asked, told a little about my story and asked for recommendation, and someone told her Dr. Scott. And so by the time, I think I was in a flare at this time, and the other person wasn't working out, and so he got me in. My doctor in town did an antibiotic steroid burst because that would pull me out of a flare. Um, well, we found out pretty quickly. We just didn't know about that before. And so he fit me in, and he, um, I'd 100% recommend anyone going to him. Unfortunately, he only is licensed in certain states. That's how to refer everyone to him, but he's also trying to train physicians around the world because this is becoming more and more of a problem. I think it's been a problem. It's just been, people are finally learning about it, and a lot of people get misdiagnosed with different psychiatric labels, like bipolar, like I was, or I mean, some of the symptoms like OCD and depression and tics and anxiety. From in my case, it came on very suddenly. I was away at a camp for a week, and it was moldy. Didn't sleep a lot. Came back home a totally different person. So much so that like I mean, I was not sleeping at all and probably hadn't been for a few days. We found out the camp was moldy, but I basically came home and had to go to the ER and with mania and psychosis. Like it was that bad and that quickly. Not everyone has that sudden of an onset. Mine was just like very severe, day and night difference. There was definitely a connection. I like got sick and had a mold exposure, and it just my brain had an autoimmune reaction, or my body, which we later found out was mycoplasma pneumonia, which is very common. Strep's another one that's common. Um, and mycoplasma and strep are infections a lot of people get, and they're going to be fine. But in some people, it causes an autoimmune reaction. So instead of your body fighting it and you're fine, you're sick for a week or so, and you get better, instead it starts attacking your brain because there's tissue in your brain that's similar to the protein or something in strep and mycoplasma pneumonia specifically. And so the basal ganglia in your brain gets attacked. And so it can present with all kinds of crazy symptoms, like psychiatric symptoms. In my case, insomnia, mania, and psychosis. Um, my eyes were dilated, which is a sign of inflammation. I had to go to the bathroom a lot, which is also a sign. Um, there's a lot of great resources out there that raise awareness now and websites. So I think I have some linked on my blog, but like aspire.care, Look Foundation, Pans Pandas Network, Molecular Labs, all of those will get you started and have some like signs, symptoms, treatment. You can start dipping your toe in and learning more. But I just wanted to start a YouTube channel, and well, it will help me motivate. It will help motivate me to write my book, I'm hoping. And it will help me to hopefully answer some questions and put this out there because, crazily enough, so I remember seeing the trailer for Brain on Fire. It's a movie, and it's also a book by the same name on Netflix by Susanna Cahalan. And she went through a different autoimmune encephalitis journey, illness, battle, whatever you want to call it, where the receptor in her brain, the anti-NMDA-R, I guess R is for receptor, was not working right and under attack, and her brain was literally on fire. And I didn't watch it at the time because the trailer looked scary to me, and I don't know, I was probably like 16 or something. But I remember it wasn't too many months before or after I saw that trailer when my whole journey happened. I was like, man, if only I watched that movie, it could have saved my life. And so I've been very open about sharing my story. I just want to help other people, and I just want to inspire people that you can get better, especially like I know how hard the journey is. My journey was. Everyone's is going to be different, and you could have different symptoms. It could honestly be gradual too. That's another thing. Like a lot of people had it happen when they were little and just never got diagnosed, and um, it's something that kind of can come and go or like flare. And so it can mimic other things. So like if you're just looking at the symptoms and what the patient's presenting with, a lot of times you'll just get another label from the DSM, like a psychiatric label. Like, I mean, it can even mimic like tics and OCD. I mean, those can be things part of this illness. But I was, I got to the right doctor, and he was amazing, and it took a while, but I saw like change pretty much very quickly, especially things like the low-dose naltrexone to help my body's immune system just calm down and not like overreact to everything. But it's something that has to be treated um, like from so many different angles, and you want to work with someone who really knows what they're doing because it's a very complicated illness. um, I always say the triangle, so like, oh, there's my triangle attempt. So inflammation has to be treated. That's where, like, in a flare, sometimes high dose ibuprofen can help a little bit, or you can notice a difference. Um, the immune system has to be modulated because your immune system's just like attacking itself. There's a lot of autoimmunity. Usually, if you had autoimmunity in your family or any other autoimmune stuff, you're more likely to. I mean, a lot of people have that, and like this happens, but that doesn't mean this will happen to you. A lot of people also have like the MTHFR mutation, so like it's interesting to wonder like what makes people more susceptible, maybe. And I'm sure more some people are more susceptible to like mold and mycotoxins in the environment, like being a canary in the coal mine. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, so the triangle. I remember like the three I's. So we did inflammation, immune system, and infections. So there's also a lot of infections that we already talked about, strep and mycoplasma and pneumonia. But other things like HHV6, Coxsackie, even like Epstein-Barr, like mono. Um, there's one you can get from cats, like toxoplasmosis. There's cytomegalovirus. I'm probably not saying that right. But there's a lot of things, and it's not to scare you. A lot of these things, herbals and antibiotics, or in my case, like we tried antibiotics and alone, or well, a combination, added herbals, and the combination really seemed to help, especially it took me probably like a year to get my blood level of mycoplasma to go away. And I don't know if it was just because my body was dealing with it for so long, like underlying, but it's just a full body approach. And I've seen my autoimmune markers go away completely. I've been able to live and do everything, get back to normal life. And a lot of people don't say there's a cure. And um, I think everyone's journey is different, and it's something that people are learning so much about PANS and PANDAS and AE and basal ganglion encephalitis. But you can get better. It may take time. It took me a lot of diligence in taking supplements and um, even like recovering from the trauma of what I went through. That was a huge piece I wouldn't have expected. And I love programs like Primal Trust, where you're learning to regulate your nervous system and helping process some of the trauma from like just life and the medical journey I went through and kind of the medical PTSD. But yeah, I'd say if there's a piece of advice I could give someone, you need to get to the right doctor. I mean, first you need to hear about this, which that's why you know, I'm sitting down doing a YouTube video unscripted and it's a little all over the place, but I'm trying to get over being camera shy. So, and I really just want my story to hopefully reach someone who is searching and going through a hard time with their health with and maybe this is the video that you can ask your doctor about or find someone um like maybe autoimmune encephalitis is what you're dealing with and you don't even know. I um even like looking back over history, it's crazy. A lot of the people that were like um labeled as like possessed or like the Salem witch trials or different things in history. I think a lot of them had like AE could easily have been a part of their stories because it's scary how this can present. I mean, when I came home from that camp, my parents were like, "Were you given drugs by accident? Were you drugged? Were you raped? Were you like even demon possessed?" Like the symptoms are that scary and that severe. And like if we had known and I had been given like a high dose of ibuprofen and like a steroid and an antibiotic, I probably could have been better a lot sooner. It may not have just taken that, but um it's just scary how like in less than a week's time I was just in dire straits and that's um I would never have chosen to go through what I did, but I'm thankful where um to be through it and for the opportunity to share my story with others and just to see how God's using this to hopefully help other people get better. So I'm Kira Eden now. You may a lot of my like the podcast and blog and stuff are under Kira Dugan. That's me. I just got married a few months ago. But well, welcome to the channel, and I'm praying that this will help who it's meant to help. Thank you.